Hi, David here. So the question is, how do we get past the small talk so we can actually start bonding with people? And in the 90s, a group of researchers wanted to study exactly this. How fast can two strangers bond and make friends only by making conversation? And they created a project they called the Experimental Generation of Interpersonal Closeness. So what they did was that they paired strangers together, 2 and 2. And it was total strangers who never met before. And they were instructed to ask each other a very specific type of questions. And as it turned out, after 45 minutes, these people who just met, now they rated each other as close friends. And I've been talking to the scientist who was responsible for this program, and that gave me some really interesting insights into what really happened. So they told the strangers to take turns asking each other questions, and the questions were printed on a deck of cards. It was the way these questions were set up that was so fascinating. The questions started off just slightly personal. One was, would you like to be famous? In what way? And then the questions got gradually deeper. It could be, what is the greatest accomplishment of your life? By the end of the 45 minutes, the questions got really deep. Of all the people in your family, whose death would you find the most disturbing and why? Obviously, you should not ask a stranger these questions, but we can learn something fundamental from this when it comes to bonding with people. The lesson is that we become closer and closer as long as we gradually talk about more personal things. In the laboratory, this was 45 minutes, and for most people, this scale is months or years. But if we also know this method, we can use it in real life to bond with people much faster. Small talk is when we talk about generic stuff that has happened, like the weather, news, superficial personal questions, how the weekend was. And it is okay to talk about stuff like this, but we don't want to get stuck here. And then there is the personal mode. And this is what you want to switch the conversation into. Personal mode is when you talk about something personal you are emotionally connected to. It shouldn't be about, the death of your loved ones, and it doesn't have to be about sensitive stuff. But it could be about knowing each other's future plans, what music you both like, how you spend your free time. And when you make the switch, something important happens. People start to feel like you have a special connection. So how do you do this switch in practice? You ask about the person's relationship to the subject. So maybe you talk about holidays. So you say, do you have a favorite way to spend your holidays? Or you talk about work, so you ask, what would you like to work with if you could choose anything? And you talk about apartments, so you ask, where would be your favorite place to live in the world? Or you ask, what do you think about this and that? What's your plan when it comes to this and that? What's your opinion? As you see, it's not about randomly dropping questions. It's about asking the person about his or her relationship to the subject. Conversations usually go like this. Hi, how was the weekend? It was good, and yours? Good. And that's quite awkward. There's nothing wrong with this conversation in itself. We need that type of conversation to warm up. But those who stick to it, they have a hard time bonding. So you start off by opening up just a little bit. So you share something about yourself. Let them peek into the real you. You can do something like this. Hi, how was the weekend? It was good, and yours? It was good. I have a hard time enjoying Sundays though. I'm just thinking about how the weekend will end. And now you can ask something like, how does that work for you? Do you enjoy Sundays? If you gradually ask deeper questions, you gradually connect more and more. But if you go too personal too fast, you will repel each other instead. So the best way to become really good at making conversation is to see real life examples, not just read about theory. And as you learn over the coming weeks, we try to illustrate our methods with real-life conversation between actual strangers. So to get high-quality footage, we actually rigged an apartment Big Brother style with cameras in every corner, and then we invited people over who'd never met before. And in the end, we got over 9 hours of real conversation between strangers on tape. So let's look at an example from our dinner. So I've always been having businesses, and I started a few years ago with import of electronics, and that company still remains today. But I'm not part of it, and I had one company in between this and that which did advertising. But this is the first one that feels closer to my heart. So I got asked what I work with before, but I don't want to get stuck in work talk. So I don't just talk about work. I talk about my relationship to work. I've been fluctuating a lot between like what I feel passionate about. Some part of me I really like the idea of building something that's bigger than me.
Yeah.
That was the biggest passion when I did I wouldn't want to die for advertising solutions for small companies.
Yeah.
It's just because I opened up a little bit, Jesper now feels comfortable enough to be personal as well.
And I think, for me, it's a combination of all three parts. Like, in the beginning it was bad.
And suddenly, this isn't just small talk about work anymore, but we're talking about what motivates us and what's important to us. And here I didn't have to ask Jesper for him to open up. But if he didn't, maybe I would have asked something like, what is it that motivates you in your business? It's quite logical when you think about it. To know each other, you need to know things about each other. And if you open up a little bit first, he or she will feel more comfortable giving a personal answer. In fact, most people love answering questions like this because they feel that someone listens and cares about them. That's one of the strongest drives we humans have, to be seen. When you give that to people, that makes them gravitate towards you. So let's end with this reminder. Whenever you find yourself stuck in small talk, ask about the person's relationship to the subject.